Left in Kentucky, the podcast of Indivisible Northern Kentucky. And welcome back to Left in Kentucky. I don't know, man. This has been a crazy week. We had the Ohio River way up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people down in Eastern Kentucky that are, underwater.
Yeah, we had. I saw there was a marina that took off on the Kentucky River, and it was just floating down.
Have you seen my marina? Oh my gosh!
Exactly. Where's my marina?
I mean, it is the theme of the day, right? Climate change. I mean, look at all this stuff.
Yeah, the extreme weathers. I mean, it's here. And
it is. We are living it. And yeah.
So it's a good day for us to have Tony on with Citizens Climate Lobby. He'll be our guest here in a little bit, so you'll want to make sure you stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And
their organization has a good idea for how to fix this mess.
Yep, definitely. So anyway, after lots of rain and lots of water, obviously we've had a couple of nice days, which has been good. Appreciate having those. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Things seems to be going okay, and then I look at Frankfurt or
right,
DC, and I'm just like, oh.
I know. It's not a surprise anymore, is it, though, Roberto? Like,
I know.
We're not shocked by the crap flying out of the state house.
I just hope, I look and I go, maybe today's the day it all makes sense. Nope.
It isn't.
Okay, we'll try for tomorrow then.
We need to watch that bill that extends their time. They can add up to, I think, 12 days.
Yeah.
To the session. Which, how are we going to pay for that? Oh, it's probably just another unfunded mandate.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Problem.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. They love those unfunded mandates. So anyway, we've got our so many opportunities for cow patties this week.
The field is full.
It is. We got stuff locally and nationally, and so this week we split it. We got a national and a local cow patty. So,
why don't I take the bigger one?
Okay, take the big patty.
the big pile.
Yeah. This isn't even a quarter pounder. This is a half pounder.
Our senators are, of course, involved in this. And what I'm talking about is COVID relief, right? The GOP, the way they're handling themselves is just embarrassing. These guys and women, they voted for relief back when the former president was president. Every one of them did. And they were joined by the Democrats. It was truly a bipartisan effort because we knew that people were suffering. We knew that people needed help. And it didn't hurt the former president for this to happen. It was very popular with the whole country. So, of course, it's okay for these Republicans in the GOP Senate to vote for it then.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes around again, and, I've read through both of those bills, CARES Act and this latest one, and the differences are not a lot. There's a lot of the same programs are getting funded. A lot of them are just extended,
Yeah.
There's nothing, and without the minimum wage in there, especially, there didn't seem any reason for any Republican to vote against it. And they did along party lines. They decided that their political failure, is fine because people are not getting the help. No, I'm sorry. Did I say that? Yeah. Well, you're not going to get a political success, guys. You think you are, and you're not. This is a failure. It really is. And, I don't understand the motivation to an extent because 70% of the country wants this, supports this. So
Well, the motivation, right, is now suddenly they're worried about the national debt, and right, and after the after passing the big tax break
Right.
4.5 years ago, and then the two stimuluses, suddenly now they're saying, oh, there's, we've got to watch our
That same
spending,
old song
and
and dance. I don't think
and
people are buying that crap anymore, GOP.
I,
Find a new song.
I think some people will, but I think it's hopefully it's wearing old, and people realize that it's a bait and switch, and you got people that are hurting, you got businesses that are hurting, and a lot of these programs and the stimulus are to help businesses, small businesses, and
People are not as stupid as they seem to be.
yeah,
They're really not. And they can look at a pie chart and see how much money is going to our military.
pie. Oh, sorry.
That pie. They're not stupid. They can see that. And they're like, well, what are we getting out of this now, really? There's more and more of a cry of let's bring in the troops home. Let's do some things here in our own country. Let's use our military to help our infrastructure. Let's support them, yes,
Yep.
but use them here at home, use them to help build dams, use them to fix our bridges, secure, safe, because that's what our military is about, keeping us safe.
Right.
And to me, like driving over a bridge, I don't think is going to collapse. It's kind of more of a reality to me than the political maneuverings in the Middle East.
What,
That's
you
so
don't
hard for me to comprehend.
you don't want to drive over a bridge and have it collapse under you while you're
No,
driving
I'm
on it?
I'm super paranoid about the Brent Sprints though. Like I don't even want to go over it at all.
Oh yeah, the Brent Spence Bridge it's a nightmare. It really is.
It
So,
is. Yeah, we can all agree on that. Republican, Democrat, Q, Bert, whatever you are, it's a nightmare.
so that was a good one. Definitely well deserved cow patty
Hmm.
for the federal Republicans there.
Yes.
Uh, my cow patty. We're going to come back to the state of
Mhm.
Kentucky, and it also deals with the Republican Party, but it's specifically about a Senate bill, and this is Senate Bill 211,
Mm.
which has been very cleverly named the Community and First Responder Protection Act.
Doesn't that sound so patriotic, Roberto?
It
How could you
does.
say anything against that?
It sounds super. Well, first off, it makes it a law or it makes it illegal to taunt or uh, to taunt or insult a police officer.
So no quoting Monty Python, I will taunt you a second time.
That's right, exactly.
Yep, you're in jail.
Um, and beyond that, it goes beyond that, and it also um, says that in cases where a local government does not take action to prevent property damage during a riotous or tumultuous assemblage.
I mean, that could be just like a party at somebody's house.
Yeah. So if the local government doesn't prevent that, they're to be charged with gross negligence.
Oh, the ACU is going to be all over this one.
Yeah, I mean, talk about overreach, and
That's tyranny, damn it.
yeah,
Why are they pushing for tyranny?
yeah, it's and a lot of this comes out of right. This comes out of the Black Lives Matter movement
Mhm.
from last summer, and it's even one of the senators that supports it. I mean, he comes right out and says that that's what it was. Um, Senator Carroll, and,
It's to
and
punish Louisville
yeah,
for the
it's a
Breonna
response
Taylor
to
protests.
yeah, from last summer, and uh, yeah, I don't. It's just
It's not going to
terrifying,
stand
and
up in court, guys.
and the
So
idea that
ridiculous.
you can't, you know, well, you can't say anything mean to a police officer, or I mean, I
because
get
they
it.
might melt into the ground.
Yeah. Talk about snowflakes, right?
Right. It's like that is just ridiculous on the face of it.
Yeah. And it just
Because even the wording of it is like, that's a matter of opinion.
and it once again goes to show that our state government in Kentucky, the Republicans spend so much time wasting the time that they have in the legislature and energy and money on bills that
It's virtue signaling. It's what
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
It's what they accuse us of.
right. But they waste all this time and then they want to pass a bill to say, oh, we need even more time so that we can waste more time with bills getting paid
Right.
for. Instead of getting there and taking care of the business, right? Passing the budget,
Right.
funding education and finding the funds and not trying to tear down the teachers retirement system and the first
Whatever
responders
list
retirement system.
Whatever ALEC list they get handed at the beginning of
Exactly.
the session.
Exactly. So that's my cow patty for this week. Senate Bill 211. Call your legislators and tell them to vote this down because it'll save time and money in the future when the ACLU takes them to court.
It'll save us money.
Down.
That's the only way we can get through to them. Money is the only way to those patty hearts.
That's right. It's all about the Benjamins, right? Joining us now on Left in Kentucky is Tony Potochnik, who is the Kentucky Co-State Coordinator of Citizens Climate Lobby. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Amy.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Citizens Climate Lobby and about yourself and what you guys do?
Okay. I'm a retired home builder. I actually come from Northwest Arkansas, which is actually very similar to Northern Kentucky. Similar terrain and similar in that it's a metropolitan statistical district, they call it, an MSD, which is actually an urban district up that way. And which when people tell people from Northern Kentucky, they think, well, that's kind of the general northern part. No, it's a bunch of cities that are all together, and that's what Northwest Arkansas was. So anyway, I kind of feel I moved here because my daughter is here with grandkids, and after I retired, my wife moved here, and I decided after a while that if I wanted to live with my wife, I'd better move. So I moved here. So anyway, I'm a retired home builder. I originally had seen Al Gore's movie. I retired in 2013. Al Gore's movie, An Inconvenient Truth, came out in 2006. And I saw it and I said, whoa, this is some serious business coming down the road. But, you're busy working and you got your life going and kind of put it back on the back burner and don't think too much more about it. Then after I retired, good friend of mine who was into the whole climate thing was saying that there's going to be a People's Climate March happening. This is in late 2014 in New York City. And he was trying to organize some buses to go there. And he says, come on, man, let's go, And I said,
road trip.
Take a bus, I don't know about getting on a bus. But anyway, he twisted my arm. And so I said, sure, I'll do it. And that was really interesting. We got two buses. They're really plush. I mean, the buses these days they got screens,
That's not like the old Greyhound days.
No. More like airline travel, more comfortable than airline. You got more,
nice.
Yeah, and the bathroom and stuff. So anyway, we 2 buses, 110 people from Arkansas went there to this march. And it was just like a crash course in climate. I mean, because everybody was all about climate, and we watched videos, on the screens and talked about it. We stopped at Oak Ridge Labs, which is in Tennessee, and some scientists there spoke about what they were seeing going on. And we showed up there. Everybody's kind of going, because this is in 2014. I mean, it just wasn't, people weren't that concerned about it. The general public is it's at the time ISIS was happening. Okay. That's right. What headlines were about, is chopping off people's heads. So anyway, so I didn't know, what if we're the only people that show up, this thing. So anyway, they drop us off the morning of the march in Central Park West, right along Central Park, and 300,000 people show up.
Wow.
And it was incredible.
Amazing.
I got videos and photographs and everything like that. And it was just a typical, people from all over the country coming. We had a big indigenous people from Amazon, and contingent, and everybody you can think of. We were in between the World Wildlife Federation, who had all of them had Save the Humans. That usually it's Save the Whales.
Right.
They had humans T-shirts on,
Nice.
and was right behind us. So that was really interesting. And we were also involved with the Left Wing Marching Band, which was a whole lot of fun. Nothing like a band,
Yeah.
Staten Island had a drum line coming through with 5-gallon plastic buckets, boom, ba-da-doom, ba-da-doom, boom, boom. So it was really a really uplifting event,
Right.
We were led by the Secretary General of the United Nations. It was at the beginning of the parade. We were way back,
Right.
I never saw the front of the parade. And Al Gore.
Wow.
I think the Sierra Club had something to do about organizing it, 350.org. So anyway, so it was incredible, incredible day. We got back in the bus. We were just like stoked. And all right, man, we got this thing licked. Look at all these people, So we started reading the news feeds. The only thing we saw, Fox News says climate, environmentalists leave a big mess in New York City. We're
Nice.
like, what? This is what.
That's the coverage. That's all the coverage you got.
Yeah, that's the initial stuff. And there was very little said about it, on the way back. So anyway, it was kind of dispiriting. You get back and you say, hey, we got this huge problem. And how are we going to, in order to address it, we've got to get away from fossil fuels. We've got to quit dumping carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. We got to turn this thing around. And so, what's out there, how are we going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and so, there's actually a thing called clinical climate depression, because a lot of people get that when they realize the magnitude of the problem, and the apparent hopelessness of what there is to attack it. It can be, kind of overwhelming. I didn't suffer from that, but anyway, it was pretty sobering. And then I found out about Citizens Climate Lobby, and the more I got into it, they had a viable plan. They had a plan, and they have a viable way of getting the plan enacted.
Well,
and so they just made all the sense in the world. It's a good group. I can tell you a little bit more about Citizens Climate Lobby if you want me to go from there.
yeah, absolutely. So is that like a national organization, global organization, or?
It's national. Actually, it's international now too. We actually have 3 chapters in Nigeria, and New Zealand, and of course England and Germany and stuff like that. We're not doing lobbying. Our main it's a United States organization mainly.
Okay.
And we have we do send a representative to the IPCC, which is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which that's the big one. That's where the Paris Accords came out of the IPCC.
Gotcha.
We do a representative there that goes there. But basically, our main focus is to get Congress to adapt, federal government to adapt this a carbon price with the dividend. We call it the fee and dividend plan. With a border adjustment. It's kind of a 3-legged stool. And how we came about this program is our founder is a fellow named, it's 200, we have 200,000 people that have signed up to kind of be members of it across the country, across the United States. We have chapters in almost every legislative district in the country, including Mississippi.
Wow.
In North Dakota. We're a bipartisan organization. We have one mission. It's a big mission, and we have a plan on how to get it. And we're totally focused on that. We want to make it bipartisan because we don't want it a new administration comes in and says no, that's not what we're doing, and throws it out.
Right.
We want bipartisan buy-in. We want bipartisan buy-in, or Republican and Democrat buy-in. This is the way to go.
So you mentioned the carbon cost, and now is that the same thing when you hear people talk about the carbon tax? Is that
Yeah,
the
it is. Yes.
Okay. How does that work? I think a lot of people aren't real clear on exactly how a carbon tax, are they going to get a carbon tax bill at the end of the year, or what does that do?
No, it's actually very simple. It's pretty simple to understand and to explain. It's and we try to use the word fee because people have a knee-jerk reaction to
Right.
tax word tax, and they're saying carbon pricing a lot right now too. We've gotten Republicans involved in it, and they're really good at how they phrase things.
Yeah.
Sounds benign. Anyway. No, it's as what it is as the fossil fuels are extracted from the ground, oil, coal, gas, it's already being monitored because you have severance taxes. Okay, right there, those guys, when they take it out of the ground, the tax is levied right there. It's so much a ton. Starts out at $15 a ton. Okay.
And that's current. That happens now.
That happens. Yeah, right then when it's taken out of the ground, it's it's Exxon or whoever's pumping the oil out of the ground. They pay that fee, right then. Gotcha. Because we already know for severance taxes, we're already set up there. The government is, to monitor how much is being taken out. So it's that's where it is put on, and then of course it goes through the whole system, because your gasoline's going to cost, they say at $15 a ton, which is what it starts, it'll be about 13 or 14 cents a gallon is how it translates out, an extra in a gallon of gasoline. But it is also, like in coal, it'd be even more because coal it dumps so much more carbon, it's going to jack the price of coal-fired electricity even higher,
Right.
So what that does is it goes right through the system. It's, there's no regulations involved except for putting that price on it. And then the market takes care of it from there. And what it does is it's the economists call it basically recognizes the external costs of using this stuff. Because right now, the cost of what the pollution is doing to our planet is not figured into the price of it. So it's abnormally cheap. We shouldn't be we shouldn't be having fossil fuels as cheap because it's causing a lot of damage. So what it does, okay, so that's how it's done. And then then what people are concerned about is, well, how about low income people? What about the extra it's going to be for gasoline and their coal fired electricity and stuff like that. So the plan is a dividend, they call it, fee and dividend, and the dividend is all the money taken is given back to everybody on an equal per capita basis. Children get half shares, and each adult does. And what they figured is that two different studies, major studies, economic studies, have shown that about 70% of the population will get more in that dividend check. It's be a monthly dividend check than it will in the extra costs of fossil fuels.
Wow.
So it takes care of the low income people. They're not thrown under the bus.
Right.
And it's more than, so and then the ramifications over that, it actually stimulates the economy because it puts more money into people's pockets. It doesn't grow government because there's not a laws that have to be enforced.
Right.
And how it works is that the more expensive something is, the less people use of it.
Right.
And you don't have to enforce that law. Everybody enforces it themselves.
Right.
They've shown that in tobacco. The more tobacco, they just raised the tobacco tax in Kentucky about 2 or 3 years ago. It was almost like $1 a pack. Everybody's running around. You can see in the stores, they're buying, cartons of cigarettes. And I saw a year later, they figured that 40% of Kentuckians tried to quit that following year. They were well aware that it wasn't good for their health. They didn't try to quit because they tried to quit because it cost an extra $1 a pack.
Right.
So the money is a huge motivator for people to change their way. So, next time they buy a car, they're going to buy, instead of a 4-wheel drive truck, they might get a better gasoline, better,
right,
a better mileage car because they get to keep more of that dividend check.
Excellent. So now,
the fee and dividend.
Excellent. So, so all the money raised from that would go into the is there any money that's raised from that fee that would go to like new cleaner technologies like wind or solar or anything like that, or is that a completely separate?
No, that's completely separate. We try to keep it. Our big thing is we want to do something effective that's going to turn around greenhouse gas emissions,
Mhm.
and then that's the other thing. I've shown that the IPCC put out, okay, and this is effective. It's been proven to be effective. It's generally acknowledged now that that's the most effective way we can do. Number two, we don't want to harm low income people.
Right.
Okay, so we start. That's one of the problems, because especially from the left wants to put in, they want to take the money and put it to their specific, help, to develop new green technologies and everything like that. But then it starts cutting back on the dividend, that's
Right.
being paid to people. So that's the two things. We don't want to hurt low income people. We want it to be effective. And then the third part of it is actually what they call a border adjustment, where it compensates our businesses so they're not put at a competitive disadvantage, on the international scale.
And that's called a border adjustment.
It's the only cost is the overhead that the Treasury Department takes in figuring out the checks and sending the checks out. They figure that's like 4 to 5% of the dividend money taken out.
Wow. It sounds like, it's nice because it seems very, very focused, and it's taken out a number of the things that, I hear people complaining about when they talk about, carbon fees or carbon taxes. And they're like, well, but that money's going to go to this or that, and this pet project and that pet project. And this kind of takes that whole argument out of it and just keeps it very simple and straightforward. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it, we're always keeping in mind that we're trying to appeal across the political spectrum to conservatives, libertarians. And that's why we say it's a free market thing. And a lot of the left has a knee-jerk reaction to you say free market. They said, no, that's capitalism, even though they live in a capitalist society. And they basically, that's the way our system works. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about keeping it clean and straightforward and appealing.
Yeah. It's anyway. So yeah, it works well though. Oh yeah, that was the other thing about in terms of the dividend. Some people have a problem with everybody gets an equal share. Bill Gates gets a check too. And again, that appeals to the libertarians, where they say, well, everybody should be able to get that, and they like the free market part of it. Where you say that it is a free market. They understand that, and personally, if it was up to me, I would say, well, no, we don't give anything to Bill Gates, the top 1%, but it's very little, because those people are a very small percentage of the population. So it's more done for the politics part of it than it's not really, it wouldn't free up that much more money to give to lower income people.
Right. Excellent. Are there other objectives, other goals that the Citizens Climate Lobby has, or are they really focused on this one objective?
This is it. Yeah, I was going to get to that point. In 2018, the IPCC came out with a new report. This is the latest science on climate, okay? 3,000 scientific reports from around the world. And this is when they raised the alarm. They said we had until 2030 to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 40%, and 2050 by getting 100% reductions in greenhouse gases. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So otherwise we'll get past a tipping point. They used to say it was a 2-degree tipping point, and which doesn't sound like much. 2 degrees centigrade, 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Doesn't sound like much, but it has. We're right now we're 1 degree over what has been the last 10,000 years, and we see all these fires and floods and hurricanes and all this stuff is happening at 1 degree over, and they're right now they're trying to, in order to keep it even close to 1.5 degrees, which they're starting to figure that may be a tipping point, because there's all other factors going, the frozen methane in the Arctic and that thawing out and stuff like that. They have these positive feedback loops, which could just kick us over into total disaster, just cook our planet in a fairly quick amount of time. So anyway, they said, this is what we need to do. They said, we need to drop it 40%. And at that time, they said that a carbon fee, basically a carbon price, is the way to go. They thought that was the best, the economists were saying that's the best way to go. This plan, the carbon fee and dividend, starting at $15 a ton, adding $10 a year, is projected to reduce fossil fuel emissions like 37% by 2030 and 90%, something like that, close to that by 2050. So it's really close to what we need to do.
Right.
And there's nothing else. No other plan out there that has this kind of, results that they can show. It's all just kind of guessing. Well, the Democrats tend to go with regulations, like Obama's Clean Power Plan.
Right.
But that would only do the utilities. That wouldn't do the rest of cars and trucks and transportation system. This does everything that puts out fossil fuels. Whatever fossil fuels is in making steel, that's reflected in the price of steel. Right. It just affects the whole economy, and it's just something that's going to do the job.
Right.
And that's all we're focused on, is getting this thing passed.
Right.
We got a big problem, and we got one solution.
You hear people talk about the 2030 date and the 2050 date, and you think, oh, that's way off. 2030 is only 9 years away.
Yeah.
I mean, most people keep a car. Well, a lot of people keep a car 10 years. So the car you got now may be the car you have when that 2030 date comes around.
Right.
So it's right around the corner. So let's say, somebody wants to help out. They think, this sounds like something we need to do. How can people help? What do you need people to do to help achieve this goal?
Well, you can try to join a local chapter. We have 3 real active chapters in Kentucky. And with this whole Zoom thing going on, what we're doing is we're bringing people in from other parts of like Eastern Kentucky. We don't have a chapter going, but we're just inviting anybody that signs up they usually sign up at national. They go to the national website, sign up there. We get their names and contact information and invite them to join our Zoom meetings in Northern Kentucky or Central and Western Kentucky or Louisville chapter.
What's that?
Closer to them.
What's that website, the national website?
Citizensclimatolobby.org.
Okay, excellent. And we'll put that in the information for the podcast, definitely. Is there anything people like contacting legislators, or is it better to do it as part of the CCL? Or
no, yeah, we can. We have one other thing that people do. We try to tell our friends. People are, it's amazing to me, but I'm one of the few people that I tell this about that actually, get involved in it. But we tell other people that a really simple thing to do, which you can do, is just sign up for what they call a monthly calling campaign. And what that is we just have everybody, you get an email reminder once a month to call your representative and both senators and just say you want to see action on climate change. We gave you a little script. I mean, very simple. And because that's when they get a phone call, all they do is just check off a box. They say climate change, or abortion or something like that, So it just, when we get hundreds of thousands of people doing this once a month, it looks like there's constituent concern. And they do listen to constituents, they have to be elected.
Right.
And so that's all we've got. We don't have money. We have voters. And so they can sign up for the monthly calling campaign, which you can do through the national website. And it takes less than 5 minutes. Simple. They give you the phone numbers. You just punch them in, click on the phone number and make your phone call. And that helps. Every little bit helps.
And it's nice that I think it's nice that you provide a script of what people can say, because I know a lot of people, especially if they aren't used to calling their legislators or whatnot, or about a specific issue, they're worried that they're going to have to call up and they're going to have to know all these details about it, and I have to have all these facts and figures. But the fact that you provide a script of, here's basically what you have to say. And it's not this deep involved conversation where you're expected to, to have all these facts and figures at your fingertips. It's basically just hey, this is an important issue to me. I want you to know that I'm one of your constituents, and I think this is important, and I want you to act on this.
That's it. That's pretty much it right there. Yeah. Like I said, they just check the box off. And so they say, well, there's another constituent that's concerned about climate change. I mean, if you can get something in there about the fee and dividend plan or the legislation, it's actually a proposed legislation in the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. And there's a number for it, HR 763.
Excellent.
763. Got it.
It's going to be a different
send
number.
Something off to Massey tomorrow.
Pardon me?
I said I'll send something off to Massey tomorrow.
Yeah.
You said it was going to be a different number?
It's going to be it's a different Congress, so they got different numbers. It hasn't been introduced in the new Congress. That was the last Congress, but it's called Energy. I think it'll have the same name. It's the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act.
Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And I'm sure that, again, if people go to citizensclimatelaw.org, they'll have that information on there updated when it gets reintroduced in the new Congress, right?
Yeah, and there's all different ways. I mean, you can get more involved in that. You know, go to the chapter meetings, and we have what they call the five levers of influence or something like that. But there's, write letters to the editor, op-eds. We do outreach, where back when you could meet in public face to face, we do, go to Earth Days and farmers markets and stuff like that, or get into lobbying, which is the name of the title. And that's what we're doing. We're lobbying Congress, and that's what I love. I'm a political junkie, and so it's a thrill to go to Washington D.C. and just walk the halls of Congress.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience, and there's that's where we have our national convention, and so you get 1,500 other climate enthusiasts also involved. We have great speakers, and
that's great.
You can really get involved in it as much as you want to.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being with us and sharing information, and it's definitely a good cause and something that is bipartisan. It's good to have that, and encourage everybody to check it out. Again, we'll put the information in the show notes, but it's citizensclimatelaw.org, and if you're lucky, you'll get to be on one of those Zoom meetings with Tony.
Yeah, the whole approach that you have to this problem is wonderful. Goes directly towards it. Doesn't try to add a whole bunch of other stuff. Like you said, it avoids more regulation, which a lot of people are against. So you got my support. I'll be contacting my legislator, and I encourage all of you that are listening to do the same and join your local CCL if you can, and get involved.
It helps democracy too. As the more involved we are, that's another quote that comes out of Citizens Climate Lobby is democracy, use it or lose it.
Yeah, my personal goal is to get to the young people. Because climate, I will say climate is one issue that the young people are pretty bipartisan about. And they're the future voters, the future business leaders, the future everything.
75% of young Republicans are concerned want to see federal action on climate change. 75%.
Wow. So I think that is an issue that we can really work with the young people to get some action on. So
they are concerned.
All right. Well, again, thanks for being with us, and we appreciate it. And good luck going forward.
Thank you very much.
That's a lot. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
That's going to wrap it up for this week on Left in Kentucky. Once again, we want to thank Tony Potochnik with Citizens Climate Lobby for being with us.
Yeah, it was great talking to Tony.
Yeah, he's very interesting. A lot of good information. Make sure you check that out and tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the countryside.
Yes, they all want to listen to our pleasant voices.
Yeah, definitely. I like listening to our pleasant voices. Don't you?
My husband listens. So, hi, Chewbacca.
Chewie, once again, you never know where Chewie's going to show up. I love that.
Yes, and hello to my wonderful husband who's listening.
No,
every single episode. So,
oh, that's sweet. let's see, who do we have coming up next week? Oh, that's right. We're going to be talking about the KDP reorg, Kentucky
Yes, you'll want to
Democratic
tune
Party.
into that one.
Yes, find out how the Kentucky Democratic Party chooses its leaders, and it's a bottom-up organization. It all starts at the local precinct level. It's really interesting.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about that next week at length, and how you can get involved in the Kentucky Democratic Party if you want to, and make change, make it what you want it to be. If you want it to be more progressive, get involved.
Please.
Yay. Yeah, so we got that coming up, and then we've got a few more weeks. We'll get to April. We're cooking up something special for April Fool's Day.
It's on the burner. It's on
Yeah.
the back burner, guys. I smell it.
Yeah, so look forward to that. We'll have more information as we get closer. But until next week, this is Roberto.
This is Amy.
Left in Kentucky, the podcast of Indivisible Northern Kentucky.